Welcome to the second module of the masterclass conversation. This part is about captivation. You've already seen how to have verbal content, which means unlimited topic of conversation. There is many other things to take into account, but you will agree for sure that this is main thing, essential thing, that if you get this down, it will have enormous consequences, positive consequences. When it comes to captivation, we will do the same. We will focus on the things that if you get them down, everything will fall into place. Most of the things. If you are only relying on your topics of conversation in order to be interesting, in order to be captivating, in order to make people want to listen, you're heading for some troubles because you're going to be forever dependent on what you say in order to captivate. Now here is the thing. It's amazing if you always have interesting thing to talk about. But how powerful is it going to be if you don't even need it anymore? You don't even need this. By talking about anything, you're going to captivate. How cool does that sound? Moreover, when this is the case, you don't have any pressure anymore to have interesting topics of conversation because no matter what you say, it's going to be interesting, captivating. So what it does is that it frees your mind even more so that it can find actual topics. So this is a positive circle that we are going to train here, a positive feedback loop. Great, so how does it work if it's not in the verbal content? What we will focus on here, the main thing that is going to fix everything when it comes to captivation, is the principle of pattern interrupt. Pattern interrupt. This thing captivates because captivation, what is it about? It is about bringing the attention of the person on what's happening, on what you're doing. This is what it's about here. What is attention? What is consciousness? What is the purpose of attention and consciousness? We have the subconscious that take care of everything in the body, right? Everything that you have to do, it's being taken care. But those automatic responses, those programmation that you have, they come from somewhere, right? Either they have been already programmed in your genes by natural selection. Either you learned them. How did you learn them? By consciousness. This is the place where you train new behavior. When you train, when you discover new things, where you create new patterns. And once this is done, you don't need to be conscious anymore. Subconsciously, automatically, it becomes done. And so now your attention can go somewhere else. This is the thing that we are going to trigger to put attention here. This is the thing we're going to trigger. When you have your topics of conversation, if you're talking about things that are very new, that requires the person to really be involved because otherwise they can't get what you say. Depends on if it's too much or not enough, but if you're at the right place, then they are going to be captivated. They have no choice. When you're listening to a video or you're listening to a course, most of the time your attention might wander. But at some point, you are completely captivated. This is the point where this happens, where the difficulty to understand what's going on is at the perfect place where you just have to be focused. This is about the content. We can create that. without the content, without needing to talk about specific things. We can do that actually by the way you talk, by the way that you talk. And here is the rule. Don't seek to make what you say interesting. Seek to make how you talk interesting. This is the rule of captivation. Don't seek to make what you talk about interesting. Think to make how you talk interesting. How do you do this? Basically, we're going to train you. You are going to train yourself for 1 month every morning. 2. Create pattern interrupts on 4 main dimensions of the way we talk. So that by playing with those 4 dimensions, you are always creating pattern interrupts where the person can't wander away, their attention can't wander away, because all the time there is new information to take into account. For example, those dimensions, there will be tonality. So are you talking with a high voice or with a more deep voice? Volume. So are you talking loud or are you talking a bit quieter? This is volume. 3rd, the rhythm. Rhythm. So for example, here there is a fast rhythm. Here there is a much slower rhythm. And if I speak fast, and then I let a pause, and then I go back fast, there is a pause. This is part of the rhythm as well. 4th, the body language, the way you move your hands. For example, this is going to be important. And actually there is a 5th, so there is 5 dimensions, the emotions. And we're going to play with this. How does it work? For example, with the rhythm, the pauses. No matter what you say, if the person in front of you doesn't know how the rhythm of your talking is going to be like, if they can predict it from the thing they have already seen in the past, if this is a new rhythm that they have never seen, they have no choice. No matter what you say, they have to be focused. Their attention is going to be grabbed. No matter what you're talking about. Blah, 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 blah. Blah. La, 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 la. Blah, blah, blah. No matter what it's about, they have to put the pattern you're doing into a new box so that it can be sent into the automatical part of the brain, the subconscious. The same will apply with volume. If this is not predictable, then the same apply. You have to know when to listen. Or actually you have to listen to not miss the pattern and to understand it. The same with tonality. If you go higher sometimes and then you go a bit lower, you go lower, then you go higher. And this is unpredictable. This doesn't follow an already known pattern. Now, okay, it can look stupid when we do the exercise, but this is the point. When you do the exercise, it has to be exaggerated. So then when you talk normally, you just do it naturally. When you do the things in a way that breaks any pattern that the person already knows, now they just have to be focused to understand the pattern, to be able to put it into a logical box. Okay, I understand now. Here is the pattern. So now I don't have to pay attention anymore. I know what's coming. And now you might say, yes, but at some point you have done every kind of pattern which is possible. Right? And here is the funny thing. There is what we call infinite creativity. There is an infinite number of possible combinations. This is infinite. That's where it becomes fun. The only thing is that we have to be able, we need to be able to be creative enough to find them, to always find new pattern. we need to be creative about this. How can we be creative enough to always be using new patterns? How can we do this? Actually, it's going to be extremely hard to do it logically, to logically try to create a pattern. And actually, this is never going to captivate, because if you do it logically, then the other person can do it logically as well. They can understand the pattern you're going to use because you have found it through logic, which makes it not so much creative. So it makes it easy for them to understand it and to predict it. Okay, I can predict where he's going. I can predict that in 1 second he will make a pose. I can predict it. It's as if they already know the pattern because you are creating a new pattern. But inside an already known pattern, which is your actual logic. So even if you create new types of pattern, they can predict the new pattern. We can predict the new. Isn't it funny how the brain is made? We create patterns, then around those patterns we create new patterns, and around the new patterns we create bigger patterns so that we can predict the new pattern of the lower level. And the more we go in the higher levels of pattern, the more it allows us to predict even the new patterns of the lower level. This is how the mind works. So if you try to create new pattern from your logic, logically, analytically, it's still going to be inside the higher level patterns, so the other person can predict, okay, I see what he's doing. I see what he's trying to create. So it doesn't work. It doesn't captivate. And actually, it's not about tricking people, like hypnotizing them. It's something collaborative. If I'm talking with you, I want you to captivate me. It makes it way more pleasurable for me to listen. So I want you to do it. In the same way, other people, they want you to do it. It's if you're not doing it that they might get mad. You're not doing them any service. You're not serving them in the optimal way if you're not doing it when you talk to them. You're making it hard for them to follow. So this is collaborative. So if we can't do it analytically, logically, how are we going to find those new patterns? There's new rhythm, when to let the pause, when to come back to talking, when to go up, when to go louder, when to slow down, when to change emotion, when to move the hand. How do we do this? Intuitively, with intuition. With the intuition. This is where we can tap into very high level creativity that breaks every pattern. Because here is the thing. If it breaks your own pattern, then this breaks as well the patterns of others. Because the fact that you are not following your own patterns, it entails that the other person, if they try to predict you, they do because they have understood your own pattern, so they can predict your behavior because you're following your own pattern. But if you are not following your own patterns anymore, by default, because they predict what you do by understanding your patterns. If you break your own, then they can't predict anymore because you break the precise thing that makes them capable of predicting you. And how do you know if you're breaking your own pattern? Because you yourself are captivated by what you're doing. You will captivate others when you talk if you yourself are being captivated when you do it, because you are breaking your own pattern. So your attention, even yours, have to be completely with what you're doing to be able to create the new pattern, to create this new thing that doesn't come from the automatic patterns. And so basically, captivating others will be about captivating yourself. It will be about talking in a way that makes yourself captivated. Now you break your own pattern. Now, then, it makes you unpredictable by definition by others, because they predict you by understanding your patterns. If you break them, it's done. We can't predict. Because you can't predict yourself what you are going to do, then they can predict neither what the rhythm is going to be like, when you're going to go back to talking. They can't anticipate because you yourself have no idea about what you're going to do in the next second. You have no idea. And we are going to train this. We are going to train you to talk in a way that creates a continuous pattern interrupt. And this is what is going to create this feeling that you're floating, that you're in a flow, because there is no rigidity anymore. Boom. Here you will be captivating and relaxing when you talk. How does it work? You're going to take a book and practice all of this one by one. First, you practice tonality. So you pick a page, you put 1 minute timer, and what you have to do is to make your tonality varies up and down at moments that are completely unpredictable, in the sense that they don't follow any pattern that you can think of. Now here is how you're going to do it. I will break it down for you. I will do it. Make it a habit to monitor your mental, emotional state through self-observation. Looks stupid, right? But that's how it works. I'm creating momentum now. Am I at ease at this moment? Okay, here is what happened in my mind. I said, am I? And then I wanted to say at ease, but I had this idea of saying at ease before even starting to say at ease. Even before. Maybe this amount of time before, which is still too much. We want to have the idea of what we're going to do at the same time of we do it. At the last moment, like when you play Guitar Hero, you have to discover the note that you have to tap at the moment where you have to tap it, not before. Right? Here is the same. And so when this happens, and it will happen at every moment, this is the purpose of this. Am I at ease? I wanted to say this. And so I said in my mind, so not do it. Break the pattern. This is a pattern, not do it. It has to come at the last moment. So am I? I'm about to say this and I'm thinking, no, I have to wait until I say it to now choose how I say it. Am I? And now I have to say at ease. And so now I had to find a new idea, at ease. And then I decided to do it at the last moment. And this will be the key. It will be to make it at the last moment, to make the change, to make the decision about which pattern you follow at the last moment. This is how you become unpredictable. This is how it works. This is how you break any kind of pattern. Because the more you do it, it creates a momentum. At some point, you really start to be creative about it. And you start to find how to not follow any pattern. And now it becomes very captivating. Or you can ask, what's going on? Now I wanted to say, what's going on? That's what I wanted to say. But I had this idea of saying going on. When I was on the go, I was saying go, and I had already the idea in my head of finishing by ing on. And so I decided, no, I have to break it. Going. And at the moment I'm going to say on, I have to not say on. I have to find a new pattern. Going. Now I have to say it on. New pattern. You break the pattern you had in your head. And you do this for 1 minute. You train this. And you will do this for all of the dimension. You will see what it will do. Next dimension of nonverbal captivation. Rhythm. So here, the same. You take another moment in the book, 1 minute timer. And do you resent doing what you are doing? Okay, here it was very regular, but actually it was not something I was hoping to do. So it was actually the way to break my own pattern. And you will notice that when you do one dimension, you will naturally as well change tonality, volume, those kind of thing as well, but it's not the purpose. If you could, you should be like a robot and just isolate the dimension you're working on. But let's not make it too complex, so allow yourself to do other things at the same time if it helps you. It may be your job, or you may have agreed to do something and are doing it, but part of your resistance and resist it. Are you carrying unspoken resentment toward a person close to you? You will do this for 1 minute as well. The rhythm, you change the speed, the pause, how long the pause, when do I go back, and the same every time you have an idea of how to do the rhythm before actually saying the words, don't follow it. Go blank. You wait to the last moment, and at the moment where you have to say it, now you have to choose which pattern you're going to use, or what you're going to do at the last moment. You have to create this habit in your mind so that you're capable of doing it all the time in continuity, continuous, boom, boom, boom. Each moment you decide what you're doing without anticipating. You never know before the exact moment what you're going to do. You discover what you will do at the moment you have to do it. The same with volume. 1 minute once again. Maybe you are being taken advantage of. Maybe the activity you are engaged in is tedious. Maybe someone close to you is dishonest, irritating, or unconscious. But all this irrelevant. And you will play with the volume as well. And the same rule once again. The last moment you decide what you will do. The last moment. Break your own patterns. Until you feel that you become captivated yourself. And if you don't before the 1 minute, then it's okay, don't worry. This is an exercise, you're exercising. And if you don't look stupid doing it, just as I do right now, it means you're doing it wrong actually. Because if you break your own pattern, either you will do it so well that you will feel captivated, either you will not have enough momentum to do it so well, and so basically you will just look stupid. So if you're doing it and you're neither captivated yourself, neither you feel stupid, you're doing it wrong. You have to break even more the pattern. Just as I'm doing it makes no sense when I'm doing it. Right, now we have emotions. The emotions. Here the same. Take the 3 main emotions. Happiness, sadness, anger. Take those 3 once. And you will learn to exaggerate the facial expression of them and the way to talk of those emotions. And you will learn to do them, to force yourself to do them independently from feeling them actually. You don't need to feel them to talk as if you have them. It's like a game. It's a game. It's for fun. It's for captivation. So, let's do it. First, just make a row of starting with happy, then sad, then angry. And then after that, you put 1 minute timer and you mix them for 1 minute again. So you start with happy, sad, angry. Coming back specifically to what you said, it is certainly true that when you accept resentment, moodiness, anger, and so on, you are no longer forced to act them out blindly. Now, sadness. And you are less likely to project them into others. But I wonder if you are not deceiving yourself when you have been practicing acceptance for a while, as you have. And now anger. There comes a point when you need to go on to the next stage, where those negative emotions are not created anymore. If you don't, your acceptance just becomes a mental label that allows your ego to continue to indulge in unhappiness. And now, 1 minute, you mix them in an unpredictable way. Without judgment, without resistance to what is, they would not arise. You have an idea in your mind that everything is okay, but deep down, you don't really believe it. And so the old mental emotional pattern of resistance are still in place. That's what makes you feel bad. And you do this for 1 minute, you alternate between them. Right, and once you have done this, with all of those 5 dimensions, wait, we forgot the gesture. The gesture, how does it work? When you're talking, you're having the thought in your mind and then you're putting words on them so that people can have the same thoughts. How does thinking work? How does it work actually? This is either mental picture, either feelings, kinesthetic sensations, either auditory thing that happens. Most of the time, this is picture or little movies. A little less of the time, this is emotions. And I mean, as long as you're talking, this is not really auditory because most of the time, this is when you talk to yourself that you hear this. So, let's say this is pictures or feelings. When you're talking to the person, they have to be able to see and feel the same thing that you're talking about. This is why your hands come in place. It can help. It can help to describe. Did you see I made this with my hands to describe? This is because I had the idea of a picture that is being explained, that is being showed. And so I had this picture. So with my hand, I made a movement which corresponded to the picture, the idea of showing the picture. And this is what's going on with the hand, actually. It helps us describe the thing we have in the head. Did you see I did this? The thing we have in the head. Think of it as if you were deaf. You don't hear anything and you have to speak the language of words. You will do this for 1 minute as well. For 1 minute, you will talk about anything. Don't take a book, you talk about whatever you want, like for the first module of the masterclass conversation. And for 1 minute, you will focus on the picture that happened in your head, in front of your eyes, your imaginary eyes. And while you're doing this, you will have to train yourself to illustrate what is going on with your hands, actually. You will have to describe the thing happening with your hands, okay? And you will do this for actually 1 minute, 1 entire minute. And so you just keep talking like this, no matter what you're talking about. It's not important. You just have to be focused on describing with your hands the things that are coming from your head. Okay? You do this for 1 minute. If you do all those things for 1 month, at the end of the month, it will all be intuitive. You will do them naturally, and it will help people to follow what you're talking about. And then with the hand, actually, even if you're not saying anything, you can actually move them to create pattern interrupt. For example, even if you say nothing, you can move your hands like this in order to still put some meaning. It will come by itself when you will be used to synchronizing what's going on in your head, what you're talking about, with moving your body and your hands. Then, even if you don't talk, it's as if you will discover a new way to communicate. As if you discover that you can explain what's going on in your mind, not only by saying it, But you can also use your gestures to make them come out. Did you see? Did you see the idea? And at some point, really, you can, when you really are into the flow of it, you can even approach people without talking, just with the facial expression in your face, with the movement you're going to say. There is a communication, and it's enough, and people will love it. This is possible. But here, let's take our time and just do the exercises for 1 month. So for the same as the first module, for 1 month, every morning, after the exercises of the first module, you do those once. And once you've done all of them, you put a timer of 3 minutes again. And this time you will do like for the first module, you talk about anything you want for 3 minutes. But this time, in the first module, it was about having the highest number of different topics as possible. Here, the purpose is a bit different. We don't care about how many topics you talk about. We just care about how captivated you are yourself by the way you talk. You have to captivate yourself by the way you talk. And so you will be playing with all the things we have seen. Volume, tonality, rhythm, emotions, and gestures. So you will just put a timer. And this is practice time. You will film yourself actually like for the first module so that you create pressure. You train yourself to do it under pressure. And you will put on the Facebook group at the end of the month the same type of video. You take, you make a cutting, video editing to have the first day and the last day. And you post it on the Facebook group dedicated to the masterclass conversation. This is the challenge. So for the 3 minutes, you will talk about anything. This morning, when I woke up, it was incredible sensation of just having the sun over my face and knowing that it's time to go for the coffee. To go for the coffee. I was about to say the fucking coffee. Do you know how much I like this coffee actually? Look, I have one just right here. I swear, this is the only thing that actually makes me want to wake up in the morning. I feel so good in my bed. This is so warm. Everything is so perfect. But, I mean, I can't resist. Okay, let's make another example. Hey, the first time I read this book, it was huge. Okay, let's be honest. I didn't understand anything. I didn't understand anything about what it was about. I had to read it back 1 year later. This time, 1 year later, I really understood that actually I understood nothing the first time. I think you get the point now. The goal is to always exaggerate everything when you do the exercises, so that when you will be talking in real life, with the first module you will have exaggerated the fact of having a lot of topics. With this one you exaggerate the way you make your own non-verbal captivation. You exaggerate all of those so that when you come upon a real interaction, you will do them by default naturally. Even if you don't try, it will become intuitive. But you have to do them every day for 1 month. Every day. Because otherwise, it will not become a part of your new identity. It has to become something that you see as valuable for others, as normal, as pleasurable, as something cool. If you see it as a challenge, as something difficult, you will not feel comfortable enough to apply those new behaviors in your interaction, actually. So you need to train them for a month straight. Do it. It will pay off. Now, can you imagine, now that you have unlimited topics, ability to be interesting no matter what you're talking about, can you imagine if you add humor upon that? Fun. Having funny ideas, saying funny things, behaving in a way that makes people laugh. being hilarious. Now you are really be not only interesting, not only captivating, but you're going to be an addiction for people at that point.